Hello, my name's Glynda Easterbrook and I'm a geologist and an earth scientist. I have a degree in geology from Imperial College London and an MA in education. I'm also an associate of the Royal School of Mines and a fellow of the Geological Society. I started my career at the British Geological Survey before moving to the Earth Science Department at the Open University in Milton Keynes, where I taught for over 25 years before taking early retirement a couple of years ago. I've been an enrichment lecturer for the cruise industry since 2010, and up until 2020, I've completed 30 cruises with lines such as Crystal, Viking, P&O, Saga, Fred Olsen, and Holland America. The great thing about my subject is that it's relevant all over the world, as I hope you'll see in my next few slides. Over 70% of the Earth's surface is covered by water. This is what the world would look like if all that water were drained away. Surprisingly, ocean floors are not flat and featureless, but covered with deep trenches, mountain chains, islands and seamounts. These mountain chains are otherwise known as the mid-ocean ridges. The most significant being the Mid-Atlantic Ridge and the East Pacific Rise. The reason for this submarine landscape is that the Earth's crust is divided into a number of tectonic plates which are constantly moving around on the Earth's surface. This movement generates most of the world's volcanoes and earthquakes, particularly at the edges of the plates. There are about 1,500 active volcanoes around the world, but most of these aren't erupting. 75% of these are around the Pacific, which is sometimes known as the Pacific Ring of Fire. There are different types of eruption depending on their geological setting. Fissure eruptions occur along cracks where the crust is splitting apart, such as here in Iceland, which is sitting on the Mid-Atlantic Ridge. Elsewhere, there are explosive eruptions where tectonic plates are colliding, particularly around the Pacific. This is the 1997 eruption of Montserrat in the Caribbean. An explosive eruption of Vesuvius in 79 AD destroyed the Roman towns of Pompeii and Herculaneum. And even the British Isles hasn't escaped volcanic activity in the past. Arthur's Seat in Edinburgh is the remnant of a 340 million year old volcano. And these famous rock formations at the Giant's Causeway and Fingal's Cave are ancient 60 million year old lava flows. The effect of ice on the landscape is another popular topic. During the last ice age, most of Northern Europe and the British Isles was covered by a thick ice sheet. Sea level was 120 metres lower than it is today, and Britain was part of mainland Europe. We can see evidence of the ice in the modern landscape, such as here in Iceland. Huge glaciers carved deep U-shaped valleys, which flooded as the ice melted and sea level rose, forming the fjords we see today in Iceland and Norway. Similar features can be found in the English Lake District and the lochs and glens of Scotland. Meanwhile, southern Britain was situated at the edge of the ice sheet and covered by permafrost, which encouraged migration of European Ice Age species, such as mammoths, woolly rhino, and saber-toothed tigers. Eventually, rising sea levels flooded the English Channel, and Britain became the island that it is today. In warmer, more tropical latitudes, coral reefs are abundant. Most coral reefs need warm, shallow water, and many form around tropical islands. These islands are often volcanic in origin, but once a volcano has stopped erupting or it's become extinct, corals will grow on the shallow slopes around the island to form a fringing reef, such as here in Tahiti. As an island begins to erode and sink, if the coral reef keeps pace with this, a barrier reef will develop, enclosing a central lagoon. And if the whole island disappears beneath the waves, all that's left is a circular reef or atoll, as has happened here in the Maldives. Well, I hope this has given you a feel for some of the interesting topics I can offer to fit most destinations. I always try to tell a story in my talks, and I look forward to continuing to share these stories with guests on future cruises.